Graphics, I got nothing. I've had more tech dramas again. So, hello, it's been a while. I'm just checking some stuff. There's a very good chance that this stream might like lag, cut out, fuck up, all of the things because I'm still moving. You'll notice that I moved into my office to make it a bit easier. I'm also dealing with an artificial light today because it's quite dark. So it's like one of those things where I'm having to juggle a few different things. So I'll watch it back and fix as I always do. Hello. Got no titles or anything like that, but I'm just going to be a little more mindful of monitors and sound levels, and if it sounds shit, let me know. But I also don't have the chat open, so I have to go. It won't pop up. I have to go out of my way to look at the chat. So I'm just sort of popping in because I've been meaning to do a test stream for a while. Let's just see how it all goes. Hang on a second. So that's on mute. That's on there. Okay. Hello. I look a million years old because of the artificial light, and I haven't quite configured it yet. But that's okay. We'll go through it together. Oh, Judith is here. Hello. Good to see you. It's been ages. Has anything happened while I've been away? Not much? No? Okay. Not much. Nothing's been going on really. It's only 12 times a day. Something else happens. And by the time, I've talked about this before, which is, hang on a second. Let me just, this is very distracting seeing myself. Hang on. Let me just, so fucking annoying. Let's just look. I don't want to see myself. I want to look at the chat and only the chat. How can I do that? It's only going to be a shitty fucking... Anyway, give me a second. A lot of this will be tinkering. I have to apologize. Some of the things that you can test can only be tested live because, I don't have a producer or anything like that. So bear with me. Just let me open it. Hang on, embed chat. Preview. Let's just turn the background opacity on so I can see it, and I will deal with that later on. Scale, we don't need scale on. Just give me a sec. And then I can actually just see it, and then I can turn off the thing where it's distracting me. Hang on. Yes, because, I forgot to get a coffee. For fuck's sake. I'm going to get my son to make me a coffee. Hang on. Okay. That's as good as it's going to get. At least I can kind of see the chats. But if I miss them, then, it's because I've, whatever. Yeah, so, I mean, where do you even begin? We've had an election here. We've had the Canada election, which is, worldwide trend around sort of... It has been really interesting, actually, to watch Americans realize that the rest of the world exists. Some of them, not all of them. But it has been interesting to see the takes from, even otherwise fairly decent, like left-wing media people. They just got so much America brain. Like they really seem to forget that there's a whole world here that really, like I know they think they're the center of the universe, but very much not the case. So hang on, let me just, this is, okay, so that will come up, I hope. Can you bung in a test chat for me, Judith, if you're still there? And if everything's working, and just so I can see that it's going to pop up, because it's sort of, it's just a weird widget. I've got to fix it all, but I've just had so many tech dramas because my MacBook has been at end of life for a while now, and it's just one of those things where you limp to the end, and also because of with inflation and interest rates and all that stuff, you don't want to get finance out. You can't. Like everything is just financial management is that you just don't take out new credit. You kind of manage the credit that you've got. And, we've kind of just been battening down in case of the worst. There we go. Okay, so I can see it. That's good. Chat, chat, chat. Okay, it won't come up on screen, but I can see it. Okay, so that's good. All right, we're making progress. Oh my God, what a nightmare. But it has been, it's quite interesting to just sit back and just watch this slow motion train wreck that is the United States. Like, again, if you've been watching my stuff, you'll know that none of this is very surprising. If you're a good student of Taya, you'll know that I've been warning about how fascistic this was for some time. And I'm not talking about, one particular side, but just the United States of America, regardless of your brand of, or party affiliation, you kind of, without some major structural change, like watching that kind of, if you know history, you know what's going to happen. Like, it's really interesting. This is again about like revolution in particular, like with the left and all these sort of revolution larpers and stuff like that. They don't realize that, like, these revolutions, the French Revolution in particular, like, I maybe should talk more about it. I'm not really a historian, but I'm a political scientist and, like, very, very soon to be a lawyer, which is crazy. I do know my stuff, right? And I think that there's this strange phenomenon with object permanence and sort of flattening of time and flattening of history. And I know that that's just a normal thing for people to do, but people don't realize that the French Revolution it wasn't just guillotines out and everything was fixed. Okay, you had the revolution, and then it was long and drawn out and violent and awful, and then you had Napoleon, and then all of these sort of knock-on effects. Like, it took a long time. You don't want to gloss over what revolution actually means. And I mean, this is why, as much as I am a socialist, a real one that actually knows what socialism is, okay, is that I tend to be more in the reformist camp. If you're going to quibble over theory, which, I'm just so tired of doing, that's internet shit, it's content shit, who cares? Like, does it really matter if you get healthcare and accessible healthcare via reform or revolution? Does it really fucking matter? But I do think that you do need some stable institutions in order to, implement the things that you need. And I think that people don't really understand what it means for them personally in a revolution, okay? For the most part, most people get hurt, die, suffer, and it takes a long time. What you are doing if you are a revolutionary, you are signing everyone up to a lot of suffering. You're signing everyone up to a lot of instability, and you're signing yourself up to be sometimes literally a martyr for the generations that come after you. And I don't think that anyone, if I'm honest with you, anyone, especially in America, is capable of planting a tree for the next generation, because I think they're too focused on themselves, on what they want and their immediate needs. And I think that any attempts at a revolution, whatever that means, okay, or acceleration or anything like that, is going to result in, like, violence and anarchy and another form of authoritarianism. And then we're seeing that now. It's every man for... I think America is too individualist to have a real revolution. There, I said it. I don't think they're too selfish to have a real revolution. They're not thinking about anyone else but themselves. They want a revolution because they don't like shit. That's not a good reason to have a fucking violent revolution. Okay? And that's just, I said it. And I think, as well, Australians are the same. We're all too complacent, lazy, selfish and individualist now to have any kind of meaningful revolution. I think it would descend into tribalism and violence, and it is more likely to go south than it is to go to get any better. And that's the reality, and especially in Australia and even Canada, Judith. I know you've got your issues with the the Liberal government. Sorry, the Liberal government there. Very confusing because our Liberal government is our Conservative government. We've got Liberal and Labor. The Labor are the trade union, traditional Labor government, and the Liberals are the Conservatives, and they've gone to lurch to the far right. But your Liberal Party got elected, and they're more like Labor, and they are more they're sort of centre left. You know, I imagine that they're much like us, a broad tent of anywhere from socialist to some centre right, even. Like our unions are somewhat conservative. So, you've got a very broad tent. It's not like the United States. And again, United States has broad tents as well, but it's all centre right, far right, right. So I don't know what nuts means in this context, because a lot of the problems are global. Again, I think that Canada is similar to Australia. Again, I'm assuming, and I'm just these are assumptions, and it is different. Your proximity to America we are different in the sense that we have well, we're in Asia. We're in Southeast Asia. We're in, we are a lot more vulnerable to, like we're an island, okay? We can't possibly defend ourselves. We have, if we were caught in the middle of a war between the United States and China, we are like, we've got stronger ties to China than Canada. Canada's it's a little different. Everyone's different, but our legal systems, political systems are kind of similar. Okay, we've got the same problems of actually, recently did a research project on native title here, and you've got and Canada has you've got the same thing with an Indigenous population, Aboriginal population, but you've got a constitutionally enshrined acknowledgement, I suppose, of Indigenous land rights, and we're still fighting for that and still working towards that. Whether or not that happens is, we've got to figure out. We're figuring stuff out too, but Canada's further ahead in that regard in terms of acknowledging that and paying reparations, whereas ours are paying reparations for stolen generations, and so it's a mixed bag. But again, I know I've sort of wandered off into a tangent, but it is really interesting to see those parallels when you study law. Comparing legal systems is sorry about my look, my hands. You can tell it's fire season because I start getting burns, and also I've been breaking out in hives because we've got a mold problem in our rental. And so I've been breaking out in hives as a result. And did you know that like insurance doesn't cover mold damage at all, whether it's your fault or not, whether the landlord neglects your property or not, whether it's your fault or not, like they just don't cover mold. And also if you have to throw out like clothes or belongings or anything like that, you can't claim any of it. So like it's very stressful. Like this shit I think it's actually gotten into like some of our electrical like equipment as well. Like it's pretty bad. You know what, like well, I'm sure Judith, you probably know a lot about mold because Canada's quite a cold place, cold and wet, I imagine. But yeah, so forgive me and my flaws and my beautiful office and my imaginary fish tank. That's an old computer and media server that I'm setting up. But I'm making it a little more interesting, and hopefully the sound levels aren't too bad. I will work on them. I will, and also I've had feedback that like the variation in my voice, and because I hate the sound that compression makes on my voice. It makes it sound like I like the effect of sort of yelling and then going quiet and then yelling. There is that certain cadence that I like with the way that I talk, right, and get excited. Like if you're sitting next to me, I'm sort of ranting and raving and getting louder and louder and louder and louder. That's one of those things, but it's not very accessible. And one of my friends was watching and said that there was a audio issue where because she's turning this. Yeah, so I will adjust some of those things. Is mold a big problem in Canada? Like, is it just one of those things where it's normalized, like us and like deadly spiders? I imagine that, like, yeah, because I mean, do you know what pisses me off? This is something I know I've gone on a tangent, but I had no plans of what I was going to talk about. I'm just going to see and unload, and I'm just here. We can browse the news if we get bored. I just want to get into the habit of showing up again and talking and just testing all of the bits and pieces as we go. So I'll do a little screen share and watch a YouTube video or something at some point. But if I remember, because you know me, I don't remember anything. I'm just going to, hang on, I'm going to message my son and ask him if he can make me a coffee. Yeah. Hang on. Hang on a sec. Tell me if you can hear me typing too. Hang on. I can't talk and type at the same time. Okay, there we go. I've asked for a coffee from my wonderful assistant. What was I going to say? I can't remember. See what happens? I can't remember. I can see now. Getting old. Can't believe it. Like, but yeah, no, oh, that's right. I'm talking about Canada and Australia. And studying law, like comparing those legal systems is really quite marvelous, actually. It's pretty great. Oh, good. Okay. So the noise gate's working well. That's one good thing. But so, well, the expander. For the nerds out there, it's an expander, not a noise gate. They're the same thing technically, but not the same. So yeah, so it has been really. I mean, again, I know some of these things from people don't really understand the difference between sort of politics and law, and that they overlap and the systems, but legal it does really round out your understanding of certain things. Like I obviously did as part of my fucking undergrad thesis in, what year was it? My daughter was born. I was heavily pregnant with my daughter when I did it. So it was mid 2002. Oh, Jesus Christ. He was like, I didn't know you were pregnant. I thought you were just like, that was very funny because I was like, can I need a couple of weeks extra to get this done. And he goes, why? And I said, because I'm giving birth next week. I was, I've lost quite a bit of weight since, but I was, quite fat then too. That was pretty funny. It was very awkward. I love it because I don't get offended by these things. I'm not bothered. Like, it's like, yeah, okay. But I love people feeling awkward about that shit. The feds won't produce oh yeah, okay. So Judith said the feds won't produce a budget right now. Now I need to read into it. Just based on what you're saying, I can understand why. Okay, because I feel that things are too uncertain with the fuckwit in charge, the fuckwit in chief, that they can't. With budgets, they are locked in, and they are something. That's an interesting problem to have, which is that there's. Again, I don't know anything about the thing. This is just I am going with the general rule and the general steel manning of the whole thing, which is that I can understand why it would be very, very difficult to pass any kind of supply bill right now. With all of the uncertainty when it comes to, the orange card so to speak. I totally get that, and also with the fact that he's basically threatening to invade, is threatening all these things. Yes, they can pass. I imagine same thing. This is just the same. We're going through the same thing here, okay? Which is that these are global things. They're not necessarily. They're really big problems that are beyond the power and scope of a lot of governments, because Australia and Canada, at the end of the day, are middle powers at best. We might be, we're powerful in some areas, but in some areas when it's up against things like United States, Israel, these sorts of, even the EU, we're kind of floating a bit. You're right. We don't have a lot of power. Okay, we are pilot countries and military bases for either the United States or the dying empire of the UK. I mean, that's just how it is. It's very difficult to run and lead a government, and in the way that you would like to run the government in this current global system, because it is. This is what actually it does lead into a little bit about something I've been. The thing that made me want to move my office, other than my fucking couch breaking out with mold all of a sudden, because that's a kind of a dark area, and I hadn't been in there for a month. I hadn't streamed for a month or anything, and we were cleaning, and there was a wet and cold spell, and I went in there and turned the lights on to like clean it up, and it was just this fucking film of like white mold, which is apparently it's called aspergillus, which is hilarious because it's an Asperger's mold, and I was like, we've got like that would be so funny if like we've ended up being like getting Asperger's fucking mold poisoning. Anyway, I'm working on that joke. Cut me some slack. I've been busy. No, but I went in there and it was just, it broke out. Now, Paul bought me that couch as a gift. He found it in an op shop, like, because I've always liked those couches, and he thought, and I've always been saying how I would like to set up my videos in a way where I'm sitting on a couch. And I've always liked those. So he just happened to be like walking past an op shop, and he saw it in the window, and he bought it like as a gift for me, and he showed up at the door with this fucking couch. It could have been, this could be, I hope it's not, I don't think it is, but they usually clean it and stuff, but like that couch, it just broke out. But this house has a lot of moisture problems and ceiling leaks and that sort of stuff, and old carpets, so it was so gross. But anyway, that's what made me move my office. Yeah, so we've been feeling like shit too. I think the mold is actually a factor in all of this, but you've got to wait and see. You can't like, and the landlords, they take like, it's been what? I think it's been 5 weeks since we reported the mold outbreak, and like someone's going to come here, and what they will try to do is blame us for it. And then they will try to, all of these things, like just because like they're just going to try and get out of it. It's like just such a fucking ordeal. Like our rental laws are like absolutely dog shit. I think that's one thing that maybe Canada has over us. I think do you have the same thing with in terms of the federal setup? Is it the provinces that mostly have the default powers? Like with us, it's like, and America, it's like the states have most of the sort of day-to-day default power and running everything, and the sort of federal government somewhat encroaches on that a lot. Is that sort of how it works there as well? I imagine. I don't know. I can't remember if Canada's a proper federation like that or not. But brewed soy sauce is fermented with Aspergillus soy. My husband is a bit soy, I suppose, if you. What was I going to say? Yeah, so it's like, even if I don't practice law, and I'm, like, there's a very good chance that I won't get admitted, right? And that's the thing. Like, despite all of my hard work, there's a very good chance that they might take my digital footprint and my tweets and all of these things and decide that I am not a fit and proper person, right? That's that's a possibility. So, but even if I can't practice and I end up doing something else, it does help your understanding. It makes you a better reader, better thinker, better writer, and you start to think more in terms of systems. I'm already kind of a systems thinker, but it really does round that out. So it's been really good for that. I mean, I hope it's not for nothing. I hope I haven't spent all this money to get a law degree for nothing. But it was just, at the end of the day, it was something that I always wanted to do, always intended to do, and I've nearly done. So once I've done that, I've done it. And it doesn't really change anything. It's annoying because, you know, obviously lawyer money would be nice to be able to pay this debt that I've fucking accumulated. But, you know, we'll next, we'll, whatever. Okay. I have no real problems with being employable. I just have, you know, I can't really do anything at the moment because you're limited. You can't practice law until you're registered, and you can't do legal work because you've got to keep it sort of in. You don't want to be, especially when you've got a footprint like mine, you want to be squeaky clean everywhere else. So it's one of those things where, yeah, I can get away with this, but if it's the way that the admissions board look at it is like it's a number of different things. Like you want to be, you know, mostly clean, like financially. You want to be not like getting up to any. You don't want to have any drug charges or anything like that. Obviously, even misdemeanors and stuff like that. You don't want to have a pattern of behaviour. You don't want to be constantly getting arrested for protests. You don't want to be constantly, you know, you don't want a whole pattern of things. You can have one or two things where they go, well, it doesn't really. You know, bring the profession into disrepute. To which I say, you mean the profession that put my great-great-grandmother in a fucking Magdalene laundry, and the noble profession that did all of these things? But you can't say that. I'm joining a noble profession of men who tell women to be more polite. Anyway, I'm just kidding. Don't come at me. I don't care. So it's just it's lots of different ways to do law. But yeah, it's been very busy. I can't believe how fast it's gone. Like I kind of speed ran the whole thing because I've already got like a lot of qualifications in it, so I didn't really need to sit in it too much. And it's kind of like, well, I see a law degree, and like a lot of people don't, but I'll write this in my admission, which is that I want to help people. It's like it basically there's no real status in it for me. Okay, yes, it's hard work. It is it's a prestigious profession, whatever that means. Okay, it is obviously subjected to like ethical guidelines and that sort of stuff, right? It's actually quite rigid. Despite myths about what lawyers are and who they are, you'd be surprised how strict it is, especially around handling of money. But like I don't really buy into the whole prestige of it either, right? I see it as the state, as I want to do XYZ job to help people. I want to help like represent people who don't know about tech or have tech related disputes, possibly not even tech, possibly just tree law or property or something like that, right? Or I'm actually in my PLT, I'm specializing in administrative and consumer law. Because those are somewhat where a lot of this stuff is. But it's there's no one way to do things. And also, like, I see it as I want to help people. I need this license. I need to sit and get this license, and I'm doing this to get the license to do the thing that I need. It's not like, oh, I buy into the fucking boys club stuff. It's I find it nonsense and silly. But you got to play the game. So it's one of those things where you just got to suck it up a bit. I don't like sucking it up, but you got to suck it up a bit. But yeah, so it's been a bit crazy, huh? So what happened in Australia, similar to Canada, was that like we elected a Labor government. Okay, I wasn't surprised by it. If anything, it was a lot of the stuff that I've been talking about coming to a head, and I have a lot more faith in the electorate in general at large now, because it shows that this was, because, if you've been watching for a while, what I've been warning about is the impact that, even, like I've said this before, even if only 1% of people use the Everything app or Twitter, right? Part of the reason I stay on there is because it's influential. It still is. Like, whether, trying to make fetch happen with Blue Sky, like, sure, okay. But it is influential. It is important. And one of the things that I've talked about is how if you're not on Twitter and if you're not there, again, it's that whole fucking object permanence thing, which is that just because you're not on there doesn't mean it doesn't matter, and doesn't mean that you can't get a lot of insights from the chatter on there. And that is still the case. And I was worried that this, was coming to a head. Obviously, this came to a head somewhat in Trump is one of those things where it's like that, and the culture, what you think, it's like a game with like a mini boss and a mini boss and a bigger mini boss, and then you think that's the final boss, but it's not. That actually turns out to be a mini boss, and then, oh my god, okay, here's the real big boss. It's hard to identify who the real fucking boss fight is at this point. And so I thought that, like, there's been lots of tells that, like, which election would be the Twitter election, the internet election. Okay. This is really interesting because it's the first real post-COVID election result where, obviously not. COVID was when I say post-COVID, I say sort of 2020 to 2022. That was kind of the peak of sort of all the COVID disarray and all of the fucking crazy shit and the online shit and all, people just disappeared onto the internet, and, most came back. Most came back to Earth, and some never made it back. Let's be honest. A lot of people haven't still made it back. They're still fucking going on about COVID, which is, still going, still rampant, still fucking happening. But at the end of the day, life moves on. But the big question, the $64 million question, because it's inflation, it's not 64,000, it's 64 million now, was whether we would come back from this sort of weird internet psychosis that occurred during COVID. And most people did come back. And that was what I think we can learn from the Australian election in particular, was that people see through a lot of this culture war shit. I think The Voice did give people a hint that these guys were off the fucking rails. I think there was a moment of regret and reflection in that regard, because that was something that, like I said, like, the reason it didn't pass was because referenda don't pass, right? It wasn't necessarily because of the issue or because Australians are particularly racist or anything like that. My frame rates are dropping quite a lot. Am I getting... Jesus, okay. Bit rates varying quite a lot there. Am I plugged into network? Hang on, give me one sec. I think I'm on Wi-Fi. Let me check. Doesn't matter. It's definitely choppy. Hang on a sec. Network. Wonder if I switch, whether it will cut out. I'm too scared to. I'm too worried and too That's all right. Well, let's have a look. Let's see if we can get away with it. Just give me a second. This is meant to be one of these types of streams. Hang on a second. What's the IP is 6. Okay. Oh, where's the fucking setting for that? Good God, I can't remember. I'll have to look at it later. Output. Is it in output? No. Who the fuck knows? Oh well. Tell me if it really chops out, because I do have the bitrate adjusting thing on there. We're on on fast internet, so it really should. Oh, okay. It grays out when I'm live. Okay, I'll have to do it later. That's okay. It's all good. Hopefully it's okay. Like it will have quite low frame rate because I'm running at 30 frames per second because my computer's old. Like I have to maximize whatever resources I can. But if I can upgrade at some point, I will run it full. But at the moment, no, I just can't take out any new finance or anything like that because just things are too uncertain with all the tariffs and everything like that. It's just, we just stay still and hope for the best. But you know, like what you saw with Australia was that people actually didn't. They could what they could do is differentiate between sort of internet shit and real life shit. Okay, that was really what this election showed, which was that it wasn't it wasn't like Twitter initially was having a downwind effect on people's ideas and the discourse, and they were losing their mind. And during COVID, it became lots and lots of bullshit became true because of Twitter and because of the astroturfing and all of the shit that was going on. Elon Musk purchasing it has had an interesting impact in that people are more skeptical of it, which means that they're less likely to take it as true. Now, we still obviously have the problem of like astroturfing across the board. Like they're still doing it on Blue Sky. Like there's still, you know, there's still people who are on all of the things I talked about are still uh, real and true and valid, which is these fucking engagement pods and stuff like that, which is like, I do find it funny how they're all like, we need a Joe Rogan of the left. It's like, oh no, we need to like pay to astroturf everything. We need to do what they do. It's like, you do what they do. What are you talking about? You like look up, like Tristan Snell has been doing this shit for fucking ages. I've covered this stuff at length. Like they're running these engagement pods. They're propping up like influencers who will just rah for the like, you know, and it's just like, stop lying. You have it. Again, the right far outweigh it. Like there's no money in it, but it's not about the money. It's about who you actually choose to support you and promote you. And you know, it's oh, it's so stupid. It's just like these fucking idiots, man. They drive me nuts. Anyway, we've got, again, a lot of these problems are not necessarily unique. To hook back to what Judith said, to sort of go back to that, is that I lost my brain. What was I saying? Coffee machine. I heard the coffee machine. To circle back to that, is that a lot of these problems that appear to be domestic problems are actually just downwind from the global problems of tech billionaires, this oligarchy that is untouchable, social media having way too much power over what we see and what we say, and you know, a lot of it being astroturfed and those sorts of things. These are complex problems, but also when it comes to things like the budgets or these individual battles, it is a lot of it is about the combination of uncertainty and security, which is that I know we've seen that here with Gaza, right? But, in terms of, we've got a government who has in their policy platform that they support a two-state solution. They acknowledge Palestine as a state. They want to recognize the state of Palestine. They are on board with everything that every fucking idiot lefty on X.com, the everything app, will say. And they, you know, they sit there screeching at the foreign minister to just do more or say more or whatever. And it's like they're doing as much as they possibly can do, save for picking a fight with unstable madmen that'll have other consequences, right? And I think that that's the thing where people just don't seem to understand how there's stuff happening when this is, again, it's an object permanence thing. Just because you're not seeing it in front of you in that moment doesn't mean it's not there and not happening, and they're not doing their best, and they're not, like, this is the thing that it's like, there's this very strange phenomenon with activists. And again, I think it is an internet and attention thing, and also fucking untreated mental illness, let's be honest. But, it's an attention thing where, when you play peekaboo with an 18-month-old, this is when I say object permanence, this is what I mean. It's more complicated. You've got things like theory of mind and stuff, but this is what I mean. With an 18-month-old or whatever, or a baby, okay, there's a developmental stage when you play peekaboo, right? And they think you're gone, okay? But eventually, once you play peekaboo, they know you're still there, okay? And it's the same thing. When mum leaves the room, they think mum has gone forever and abandoned them, okay? There's a key developmental milestone where the baby knows mum's coming back. They know that it's temporary. It's that object permanence, right? Mum is still there even though I can't see her, okay? So when I refer to object permanence, that's what I mean. This is something that an 18-month-old develops. Normal 18-month-old develops, okay? It's one of those tests, okay? Now, interestingly, it's less developed in schizophrenics, which is really interesting, and also people with autism. Okay, because and again, they're different things, and theory of mind and those sorts of things. Like they have done research, look into the research around schizophrenia and autism and theory of mind. It's really interesting. Okay, so theory of mind is just a bit more complicated than that, but let's just let's move on. Move the fuck on, Taya. Okay, and so I'm seeing this bizarre thing where this is why I keep saying I think that it's a low-grade sort of subclinical, schizophrenia-like problem caused by the internet, okay, in a subset of the population. Because there's a whole bunch of people who, if they don't see it in front of them, or it is not written out and they can't find it immediately, or the information's not there, they think it's not. They assume it's gone. They assume someone's not doing anything, and I think that Gaza's a good example of that. Assange was another example where we've got a government who's got a policy platform on these things, okay? That means that they are abiding by that policy platform. If they digress from that, it usually means that there is a reason, that there is a structural reason. Often, in the case of foreign affairs, it is diplomacy. It's diplomatic immunity and diplomacy and all of these sorts of things is like it's secret information. Okay, just because you don't see it doesn't mean it's not happening, and I find it really interesting because again, we're all like horrified and distressed. If you're not horrified and distressed at the scenes that you're the absolute like sadistic like stuff that you see, okay, if you're not horrified by that and like I don't, I can't relate to you if you don't see that suffering of children, you don't see that footage of them scrambling for food, okay. The other day, I made too much rice, as we do, but that fucking, it's just imprinted now. I made too much rice, and like how fucking lucky we are. Like, and after one of those videos where they were scraping and scrambling for fucking rice and beans, and it's like how routinely I discard like too much rice, right? Not always. I tend to not do that, but I was just I forgot to put it in the fridge, like, and it was accidentally left out. And like we waste so much food, and it's like we just have so many blessings, and it's just horrific. Okay, but it imprints. I probably cry daily over the shit that I see. Like the tears are under the surface all the time. It's not about my tears. I'm just saying, right? It's distressing stuff. But you see these sort of lefties on the Everything app, okay, who seem like it's their only job is to attack Labor. Be suspicious of that. And their only job is to let the perfect be the enemy of the good. Normal lefty shit. Okay. But also just this weird object. Like the left used to be something where you understood that you were on the losing side at all times. You understood that you were on the side that was always having to compromise. You understood that, again, and even just my work in the Greens was like this. And again, this is nothing new. In the Greens, they always have this problem of are they Greenpeace activists or are they a political party? Those things are at odds with each other because a political party has to work with, across the aisle. They have to work with the crossbench. They have to work, the Greens get into the Senate and they have to work with One Nation and they have to work with, people they don't like. Like that's part of being in Parliament. Okay, that's the job of a politician, is to build relationships and consensus and pass bills, right? That is, and sit on committees, and they all eat together in the Parliament House. You're going to be friendly and cordial and that sort of stuff, right? There is an expectation that you're going to do that. But if you're an activist, and especially a single issue activist, you're going to be more less understanding of compromise because that's not your role. Okay. But what I've seen over the years, especially on the internet, again, because a lot of this can actually just be botted. So let's just always assume that, people are who they say they are and move on from there. Okay. Not ignoring the bot problem, which is 90% of it, right? But there is this overall devolving, that's not the word that I want to use. Eroding is probably the word that I want to use, of the left collectively in terms of our understanding of our own power and position. Because I think that what's happened is through media and through the domination of right-wing messaging over the years, we have internalized the idea that the left has power and that we are influential and that we are powerful, when that is not the case. Okay, now, that neoliberalism will co-opt parts of these things, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the left has any power. What it means to be on the left is to constantly fucking compromise and beg for scraps and reform as much as you can when you get into power. And when you do get into power and you get your shot, you do everything that you can to contain it for the next time that you're in power. Like that's especially with the Labor Party, whose whole fucking history involves like being under attack by everyone who hates Labor, including the Greens, and, getting into government, having to fix shit, having to put structures in place so that it's not just dismantled the second that they get out, and having to deal with stakeholders as best they can in order to pass the policies that they need. Because at the end of the day, half of this country doesn't like Labor, okay? They don't like the unions and they don't like those things. And the history, again, I just don't understand how these people are so obsessed with all of these things without even learning basic kind of historical facts, which is that Labor's never going to be able to do everything that it wants to do. Okay. because of just the way that our systems are designed. It's the same thing with the a Liberal government in Canada, I imagine, because, you know, at the end of the day, you've got to pass bills, you've got to negotiate, you've got to, and the way, and a lot of it is slow here. Like, we have a very, very, very slow process. There is no such thing as a rushed through bill, for example, in Australia, because it goes through committees, consultations, readings, committees, amendments, more committees, more public consultation, draft report, submit for consultation, final report, recommendations. They accept the recommendations. That goes to committee. Then it goes through the there's all of these things, and like, not to mention drafting. So that's one thing that I find funny about a lot of like single issue activists, is that they don't understand that there's no such thing as a rushed bill per se, or ill thought out bill, because it goes through the drafting stage, and those people are professionals at drafting legislation. They make it work. They don't make decisions on the policy, but they do make it work within the framework. There's no stupid laws that don't work, really. Okay, that's not how it works. Okay, there's people, funnily enough, who you can't see, that are doing their job, and they're trained to do the thing that you can't see. And that's what I find, just when I talk about object permanence, there's just this strange thing. Now, it might be just that I've never noticed it before. The internet. Maybe it's always been the case that there's a portion of the population who didn't develop object permanence as a child. But they or theory of mind. Theory of mind is the ability to empathize with other people's position and get into the head of other people, okay, and to understand where they're coming from. Or even just to acknowledge that they exist different outside of you and have a different set of beliefs and whatever, right? That's also a principle of humanity. But it's just, but people, if it's, they're online, and again, this could just be that people are just taking the piss and trolling, like they're just being dickheads. There are people who show up in my mentions who I push them, and they're just childish back. It's like, you're not worth my time. But they might just be disingenuous to begin with. But there is this subset of people who it disappears from the like tweet in front of them or whatever, and it's not in front of their face, so it doesn't exist. And I just find that really bizarre, because the left used to do if there's one thing that the left did, was look at invisible fucking structures and systems, and understanding that those structures are rigged in towards the right. And so I think if you are thinking that the Labor Party has as much power as the right-wing parties, then you're disingenuous. Like, you can say, yeah, oh, well, you sold out on this, you could have pushed a bit harder. But to go that one step and say, oh, they're all the same, or there's some sort of duopoly or something, it's like, that's absolutely ridiculous. And they're not the same. And the history is different, and they are compromising, because compromising is the only way they can govern. Okay, if you understand your history with the Labor Party, I don't talk about party stuff too much, because I did, when I first started this, I tried to be a little more neutral. But the problem is that these are facts. And talking about the actual facts of Labor history gets you accused of being some sort of like partisan person. I've never been terribly. I like good policy. Good policy, that's it. I don't care. I like the truth, I like facts, and I like good policy that works, that is maximalist in the way that it like helps as many people as possible. It's and everyone is sort of, free, happy, well fed, all those sorts of things. Okay, that's it. Okay, and Labor provides that for the most part, believe it or not. It's a big tent. There's more social. I'll tell you what now. There's more actual socialists in Labor Party than there are in the Greens. I'll tell you that now. Most of those Greens, they'll grow up to be teals. Mark my words. So I worked with them. I know this stuff. Okay. So, but yeah. So anyway, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, global problems. So like, you're working within these global structures in a place where you can't do much. And you have to keep making these calculations. And this is how I know that people have never actually been in any kind of real position. And they're either children or mostly children, or so rich and sheltered. Like I can tell, like someone's socioeconomics, like pretty much based on, and their media diet based on what they are saying, right? The fact that there's these like rich lefties who think that they can just like make demands of a government and expect it to succeed. It's like that comes from a place of someone who's very used to getting what they want when they want it. When you are consistently on the losing side or the invisible side, you understand that you got to keep at it, and there's no point pitching a fit because you didn't get what you want the first time. This is an ongoing thing. It is continual. Like it's the anti-war movement in particular has been going on since before you were born, kiddo. And Penny Wong is a good foreign minister. She just can't tell you shit. Maybe you just can't see it, and maybe you have poor object permanence. Maybe she's a foreign minister. Maybe we have diplomats. Maybe we are working around the clock to try and get fucking some sort of solution here. But that's not good enough for you because she tweeted something that was benign. Okay. And it's just like, oh my God, it's so annoying. Right. But and a lot of people blame the domestic government for what are largely global problems at the moment. Okay. And so a lot of these things are, you can't, if you know anything about your World War II history, there was a period of time, it was called appeasement. Okay. Especially the United States. Okay. The United States sort of decided to just sort of try to appease the situation. That's where we're at right now. Okay, is that we're still very much in the appeasement stage of this genocide. Okay, and I think it's because a lot of people, again, it's that neoliberal thing where you can like negotiate with this stuff. It's a tricky situation. Okay, I don't even pretend. I have a degree in politics. I have a postgrad in policy. I've done several units in international law. I'm basically like on paper accredited to practice international law, and even I wouldn't even pretend to have an answer or opinion on these things. I'm not an expert. Okay, these are there are some things that don't need expertise, such as the suffering needs to stop. Those things are like just it's not subjective. There's no expertise needed to see that is just objectively terrible. And the demonizing of, fucking children's performers and artists for being upset about it. Like you're on the wrong side if you think that if you think it's okay to do that, you're on the wrong side. Sorry. There is just no, it's not. This is Dixie Chicks shit. Or this is like, again, you live through it enough and you go like, you just know that time will not be kind to this stuff. Okay. I'm not even actually, hang on, let me just check something. I'm going to check if Substack, because I was actually, I started waffling on about whatever shit. And this was supposed to be, I'm just going to check to see if my Substack thing actually fucking went through. Hang on a second. Because I was actually testing to see if I can live stream to Substack, because I have actually moved my website over there. I am there. Okay. There's one person on Substack watching me. Hello, is it me? Probably. Anyway. She's we're getting there. Hang on. All right, so it is live. It's working. Looks a little. Hang on, let me just check the frame rates. Just 1 second. A slight delay there. Okay, we're good. Oh, it works. Good. So that's good news. So now I can, with confidence, promote my website. Where the fuck did it go? Oh, my sound's on. Hang on. Okay. Here we go. It is working. Well, that's good. So now that is my home. Okay, so I will be doing the YouTube and X and like sort of multi-streaming, but Substack is my home. I've actually been writing a bunch of stuff, and that's going to start kicking in very soon. I just needed some time after my exams and stuff because it's really hard. Like I know that I joke around a lot, and I do make stuff look. I do there's things that are like I make things look easier than they are, mostly because it's fucking hard, and I like to save face. And I'm brilliant. Nothing's hard for me ever. But university is hard for me because of my ADHD and that sort of stuff, and I do find that stuff very stressful. But I'm nearly through it, and once I'm through it, I'll be more equipped to have a functioning brain. But I do have some good stuff coming, and yeah. So. For the first time, I'm going to not write slow, but just start to be consistent in my posting and producing and streaming and try to have a schedule. You know me, I've always been trying to have a schedule, but a lot of that stuff has been because it's been scattered across different places. Like I know that, I've bitched out Substack over the years, but I also just realized that part of my life is over. I don't need to build everything anymore. It's okay to retire. I think I was just clinging on to the past in terms of like keeping. I was sad. I was having to work through this idea that like I wasn't a web designer anymore. Because like the tech stuff was a big part of my identity, and so I just kind of hung on to it. And the reason, and a lot of it was a convenient thing because it was also a blocker to me creating and writing, because I would always log onto my website to write or produce something, and there'd be something to do that wasn't that. And so whether you like it or not, like a lot of people don't. If you are actually being authentic, you understand what I'm talking about when I talk about how vulnerable it is to just live stream or write. If you're genuine, then putting yourself out there is an act of bravery, unless you are someone who's like, naturally loves the camera or whatever. It's not easy to put yourself out there, especially at the moment where a lot of it is actually just you put yourself out there and you get nothing but abuse. Okay. That's something that people don't really understand. I think that people are used to watching, like again, it is incredibly vulnerable to put, especially your writing and stuff out there. Okay. Even if it comes easily to you, even if you're good at it, there is still something about hitting publish that is like terrifying because like the internet's not what it used to be. I used to write with abandon. I'm actually ironically writing about this, but I used to just write every day. I still write every day, but it's not public, and that's because things have changed. You used to be able to just say stuff and write out loud and experiment and stuff, and now, like, first of all, it's pretty. It's high stakes when you obviously got a legal board that you got to go through a fucking legal process now. Everything I write, but also, everything has started to just skew negative. And this is what I was saying about with the election, where people have. I do wonder if people are using the internet less, especially social media, across the board. They have sort of woken up from the novelty of it. And I think that the internet will shift and change. It is fast. Social media is fast becoming dominated by slop. And I don't mean it literally in the AI sense, even though that's a thing. I mean just slop across the board, like drama content, um, you know, chicken hawking bullshit. I call it chicken hawking. I've called it chicken hawking for years. It's when Foghorn Leghorn cartoon chicken hawk. I'm going to be picks a fight with Foghorn Leghorn. Fight me, fight me, fight me, fight me, fight me. That's what you know. That's a YouTube strategy that works every time. Like I've watched this before. Like one example is an Australian YouTuber called Friendly Geordies, who I like. Like we share a lot of the same positions on things. He says a lot of stuff that I haven't gotten around to saying, and so it's good that he's there as a voice. But you know, there's this whole ecosystem underneath him of people who just pick fights, pick fights, pick fights, pick fights. And it's a viable way to grow your channel because you just pick long enough and they bite back. And then your channel grows and you got a drama channel, right? Same thing with any kind of like, you know, like the hater channels build a business based on like hating like people and baiting them. And eventually, if you bait the right person, they'll respond and then they'll promote your channel, right? That's, but I don't think that's necessarily like a healthy way to do things. And, you know, you don't want to really you want to grow the right way. And again, I'm not saying this is quality content, but I'm just saying that it's not something I'm not aware of. And it's not something that that people don't that to put yourself out there genuinely in an ethical way without starting shit and starting drama or editing or scripting or being overly fucking controlled. You know, that is actually something that is not easy to do. And for, you know, people who want to sit in mentions and hate people, I suggest you just start your own YouTube channel if you're so fucking clever and brilliant and smart. Don't, you know, go nuts. You know, go nuts. Okay. Feel free to promote me with your fucking YouTube channel. Become a hater. That'd be funny. I wish I'd fucking reached that stage because it's funny to me. Like I want to see how I get Gummy Venus. Tonight on Rock Bottom, she said something about fucking something like 5 years ago and she didn't think about it. Oh, well, that I don't care. I think it's funny. I said what I said. And I'm sorry I said it. If you're offended, oh, well, I said it. What am I going to do? I change my mind every fucking 5 seconds. Like I will go back on what I said 5 seconds ago. Like all the time. But my principles don't change. If I'm actually being serious, I just, you know, whatever. I'm consistent in a way that if you actually ask me, I'll explain and go, here's why, here's the leap, here's my brain makes, again, just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's there. And that is that I make certain deductions and logical steps that do make sense to me and are within my value set. I am actually consistent and principled in the way that I do life, believe it or not. Basic bitch cup. Anyway, but yeah, so, you know, but again, I think this is where it's like, I don't know how you can't build an audience trying to get people to be more understanding that the status quo isn't always bad. That stability is a good thing sometimes. That sometimes the perfect is unattainable right now because of various like reasons. And that those who are like only good and not fucking perfect have their reasons for, you know, not doing the thing that you want them to do. By some, you know, it's like I just wish in general that people would give people the benefit of the doubt more. But you can't sell that. That's not sexy. Yay! Subscribe to Status Quo magazine, the magazine for rock stars and people who wear beige. Okay? I'm not beige. I don't do that shit. But at the same time, how can you be angry at a system that you don't know when you don't know how it works? that you don't like. And again, like thinking about something like democracy, where am I still streaming? Why is it saying dropped frames? I got a notification. Oh, I should be right. Hang on, let me just check. I'm sorry again. This is just, it's probably, I started ranting, so it's probably, it was just like, shut the fuck up, bitch. OBS has turned into my Twitter replies. Hang on a second. Not that I get any anymore. I'm so fucking shadow banned, you have no idea. Is it still on? Hang on. Yep. Seems to be. Okay. Oh, Twitter didn't connect. Whatever. Does anyone really give a shit about Twitter anymore? Hang on, let me just copy that link. Hang on. Did I even go live at all on Twitter? Hang on, let me just check. No, it cut off. Hang on a sec. Here we go. Not that it's that compelling, but okay, so we've got a slight bit of frame rate problem here. Bit rate, frame rate, I don't know what. Yeah, we're dropping. Okay. All right. We'll figure it out. I'll figure it out when I'm off stream. I'm guessing it's CPU shit as usual. I need a new computer. I've been trying not to do it for I think it's just I have to. Fuck. Become a patron if you want. Subscribe to my Substack. Give me money so I can afford a new computer. Because I also, don't forget, I'm like a full-time student. I've actually gotten rid of I'm in the process of offboarding all of my old clients right now because I'm about to graduate law school. So I'm not bringing money in. So it's just one of those things. Hang on a sec. And also just that problem of hang on. I think we're good. Yeah, whatever. Do that thing where I fucking just browse the internet and then the internet goes, oh, shiny. Look at that thing. You're on camera, Taya. No, it's one of those things where it's like I'm just holding off on as much as, like cost of living, like is just killing our credit cards and everything. It's just crazy, right? I need a rich daddy. I've already got one of them, and well, he's not rich, but he earns the money. But no, the cost of it's just like, anyone. I'm also thinking of switching to Windows because it's cheaper, but I mean, who can bear it? Anyway, so it seems to have. Let me just check. I apologize for all of this, but this is. Let's be honest. This happens all the time. I like to act like it's like unusual, but it's not really, is it? You know, if you watch me, you know. Let's have a little fucking Captain Chaos over here. Okay, so it's actually the browser that's doing it when I open it. So it is a CPU thing. Okay. All right, so I've got to have like fewer tabs open. Well, that's great. That works great. Not like we were going to watch anything, or it's not like I need the browser. Nothing like that. Fucking hell. Not essential. Anyway, I can actually close stuff down because I don't think we're going to do that today. Actually, I do want to do a little bit of screen sharing today just to test it and see if it can hold, and whatever settings are needed. But it should be okay. But anyway, when it comes to the election stuff, right, and also just from a policy point of view, like, cut people some fucking slack. I kind of have a rule that if I don't have a better idea about like how to do the job, then I shut my mouth about it, because I know that these jobs are hard. I remember when I had a conversation actually with somebody, and he asked me what I thought of our Premier, right, at Western Australia, Premier Mark McGowan. He made headlines around the world because my state locked down completely. We locked our border down completely. We became a bubble, okay, during COVID. And people arced up about it, of course, but we were the opposite of America, basically. We locked down and, we contained it. Like, I actually, to this day, have some degree of survivor's guilt because we just went about life mostly as normal, other than fuckwits, buying up the toilet paper and some of that chaos. For the most part, we came through it like pretty well. Like, businesses obviously had trouble, but they put all these things in place, right? So we kind of the golden child of how to contain it, lock down, and piss off the right something chronic. And like, obviously, right wingers are upset. People are pissed off. No matter what you did, it was the wrong thing. Okay, if you opened up, it was the wrong thing. If you locked down, it was the wrong thing. If you pushed vaccinations, it's the wrong thing. If you didn't vax, it was the wrong thing. If you masked, it's the wrong thing. If you didn't mask, it's the wrong thing. If you did this, it's the wrong thing. That was what it's like to be in that situation when you are dealing in a democracy where people have opinions and says in things. Now, it's hard to like bring in and synthesize all of those different fucking demands, especially when they are at direct odds with each other. Okay. But that's what politicians are supposed to do, is to find consensus and to find some common ground between these opposing fucking views. Okay. Not to be an insane person. You're supposed to represent the constituents, and those constituents are made up of different people across the, so in a lower house seat, you represent, was it 100,000 people federally, 115, something like that. Don't quote me. People, they're not the same. They're not a monolith. If you're a senator, you represent Western Australia, for example, and you are, one of 12 people who get to represent, how many is it now? Is it 4 million we've got now? Something like that. People, they're not a monolith. It's not about you. And this is the thing with Labor politics in particular, which is that we represent the electorate. You're not representing yourself. You're representing the electorate, and the electorate is diverse, and the electorate has diverse views. And what can be, so, you have no business preaching about democracy if you only represent your party and you only represent yourself and your own interests. The Labor Party has a thing called Caucus Solidarity, which is where they've got the policy platform, they've got all of these things. You can negotiate on policy, but there's a time and a place for you to advocate for yourself. And it is not on the floor of Parliament against your party. It's not to cross the floor. That is not the time. That is not the place. You are representing your constituents, and those constituents are diverse. The Labor Party and the other parties as well represent, a broad base of people, and you are there to represent and implement and advocate for that community, okay? And I'm not saying the majority. I'm saying you are there to find consensus positions and to pass laws, not to make it about you. Are you an activist or are you a politician? You have to have that like discussion with yourself. I don't want to be a politician because I don't want, I don't want my life. I like to control my public facing stuff, even though I might be doing this and stuff. It only affects me. It doesn't affect my family. It doesn't affect anyone else. Being a politician affects your family and your children and, all of those other things. And I just don't want to do it. All right. But it's difficult being in the public eye with fucking lunatics who don't understand what you do, what your job is. And, it's not as easy as you think. Again, just because you don't see it doesn't mean it's not there, and doesn't mean that people aren't doing the best they can to serve everyone. Okay, and that doesn't mean every politician is like that, but I'm saying a lot of them are. And part of the reason that the Labor Party won the way that it did was because most of the MPs, this is the thing about the media's response and the LNP response and the Greens and all of those not Labor people, okay, a big part of their response was enlightening for me because it showed that they really don't understand that Labor just won because they've got good local members that people like. Can it be that simple? That they actually just know how to do politics and know what politics is, and they have drifted away, that everyone else has drifted into culture wars or online shit or fucking messaging and astroturfing and bots and campaigns and fucking this. And yes, Labor does campaign, all of that sort of stuff, but they also have local members that are good and competent and friendly and well-liked. And they pass laws that everyone agrees with. And sensible people understand that a politician's job isn't that fucking easy when you've got lunatics yelling at them all the time to do things their way. Right? And that's the thing. It's maybe Labor just won because they're better. Is it that simple? The whole media is Liberals lost. Why they lost? Why they lost? Oh my God, they lost. What went wrong? We are the natural rulers of everything. What could possibly have gone wrong? We are the rightful holders of power. Maybe you lost, but maybe Labor just won. Maybe people saw through the Greens being nothing but fucking an MLM, an online MLM for fucking optics and LARPing as an activist. Rich kids who LARP as activists and fucking, and maybe they saw that, maybe they just see through the culture wars, and maybe that's a good thing. Maybe they just represent their electorates, and maybe they just create good policy and write good laws. Maybe it is just that simple, and maybe you're just a lunatic. You get what it's like? That was the thing that the reaction after our election was absolutely fucking bonkers. Because at no point was it ever Labor won, fair and square. You've got Cookers, and I swear to God, Cookers and Greens, they sound identical right now. Fucking election conspiracies, conspiracy theories, fucking, that's not what the public really want. The public are idiots because, sorry, but if 90% of people wanted your policies, 90% of people would vote for you or preference you 2 or 3. Okay, they've got plenty of opportunities to vote for you, and they didn't. Okay. That's a fact. Maybe Labor just won. Does it ever occur to anyone that they just, again, I know my local members. I prefer to work on state campaigns. I don't like federal campaigns. It's, it's just not my thing. But I know the local MP here. I worked on his campaign. I know the federal MP. I know the most of WA Labor MPs. I also know some Liberal, and I know a few. I know quite a few people, right? A few ministers as well, and maybe they just won. They're good people. Maybe they're just people with families who won, who represent their community well, and people voted for them. Is it that simple? Or is it the fact that the Liberal Party hired fucking Trump advisors to astroturfx.com with trolls and lunatics and Nazis and thinking that you can win elections with more signs. More signs will do it. That was the thing with that Amelia chick. What's her fucking name? I forgot her as quickly as I knew who she was because she's just an idiot. But, you know, I said back when there was that fighting over the corflutes, right, that she's made a fatal mistake. She thinks she's an Instagram influencer. And I have a feeling that they called her because she has the potential to be, she's one of those types, okay? But she tried to run a campaign like it's Instagram. You can't run an offline campaign like you would a digital one, which is to just flood it with ads and signs and graphics and, you know, pull stunts. People see through that shit. You know, the fact that she came close, you know, that was annoying because it does seem to work. But at the same time, it's just, maybe it is just simple. Maybe it isn't just some elaborate conspiracy. Maybe they just won fair and square because people like them and they represent the electorate and people see through this fucking culture wars bollocks and they don't spend all their time online like you. Maybe they understand that something like Gaza is a global issue, somewhat out of our hands, okay? And I always say somewhat because, you know, you do have a choice, but at the same time, the consequences are huge because who's going to, you know, like oh, yes. Do you know what we should do? Hey, Donald Trump, why don't you go fuck yourself? Everything will be fine. We should just start a war with Israel. Why don't we do that? That's going to go great. China will protect us, except China doesn't have the fucking military capability. So if we did that, do you know what happens? Exactly. The United States starts some shit in our region. China feels the need to step in. Guess what happens? You fucking idiots. Think it through. You can't just fucking start wars and fucking, it's not a game. You know, these same dipshit hammer people, fucking idiots online, they're just violent and they're just losers. And they think that smashing everything is the answer. Right up to declaring war. Yes, okay, you're so brave behind your anonymous Twitter account. Why don't you just go and declare war on the United States and see how you fucking go? Now, American citizens and media speaking out is a different thing because they actually do have more influence over their government, okay? Americans don't listen to us. They don't listen. What value can be had from an Australian politician fucking sticking their neck out like that? None. First of all, we lose our visas, like that we've got. We've got a special class of visa that, like very few other people in the world, we end up on the fucking naughty list with the tariffs. We, you know, potentially the worst case scenario of World War fucking III. Oh, but I'm sorry, but she didn't tweet in the right way. Burn it to the ground. You fucking idiot. You're an idiot. You're not serious if you think that. And it's the same thing with, like, again, like, let's circle back. This isn't making fun of Judith, but like, just as an example, that bill. Okay? Who'd want to be trying to pass any kind of bill, especially a supply bill, because those are locked in for the year in an uncertain environment like this? It's hard. Okay? It's not easy. And you got all these fucking interests right now. They're trying to keep things stable. We're in triage, trying to fucking just keep things afloat. And it's just like, yeah, you do better. And it's like, fucking hell. Drives me nuts. But it's the same thing. Oh, yeah, that's what I was saying about democracy, which is that democracy isn't just about, like, it runs everywhere. It runs through the departments. It runs through law. It runs through the party structures. Like the ALP has its factions, but those are sub-parties within a bigger party, which is a democratic process. There's a time and a place and a process in which to get what you want. Like if you're upset about a certain issue, there is a time early on where you can write a fucking letter about it. You don't. You whinge on Twitter after the fact because you don't know. But I'm saying there is plenty of ample opportunity to have your say beyond the ballot box. You don't. And that's like, stop whinging. But that is democracy. Like, even, I've been, what book was it? Oh, Kevin Rudd's book on Xi Jinping, okay, on China. And it was interesting. I don't know much about the like inner workings of China, but, there are some aspects that are authoritarian, but mostly nationalistic more than authoritarian. Because a lot of that stuff is, we're looking at it from a Western lens, and we're not, I fucking hate the fact that we're vulnerable to America, like our social media and all that shit, like in America. Like, I hate the fact that America spies on us and like tries to undermine our democracy as much as anyone. I can understand if China was like having to clamp down a bit more on that shit because they're under attack. Like, I kind of, it does strike me as a lot defensive. And also, no government's perfect. Everyone's going to like America can throw stones about like China all they like. They're less bad than America. Like, but, like they run, like, what is it? They've got the world's largest prison colony. Like, you want to throw stones. But it's just, but I was about China, and it's like, well, it's about understanding the mind that you can do democracy differently, that there's a place and a time to have your say. Whereas Twitter brains seem to think that the government runs on Twitter, that their tweet is all they need to do, and they're stupid. They don't know. They don't know anything. It's like, well, why don't you just go write that to your right? There's plenty of opportunities in which to have your say and participate in the democracy that you've got, but you don't. And then you turn around and like complain, and it's like, well, again, the party structures do provide democracy as well. Like, they've got these processes and branch members and a full decision-making process. They've got the national conference where you can have a like substantial impact on policy. You go join the Labor Party, you can join the policy committees that they've got, the direct branches where they're focused on your area of interest. You can join that. You have a tremendous influence on that sort of thing. Just by getting involved in politics. I think in the party stuff, I think you'd be surprised how many decisions are made with like 5 to 10 people, in a room, but showing up. I think actually Tim Walz said that recently, where he said it's about showing up. If you show up, you'd be surprised what you can get done, right? But anyway. So I'm just going to hang on. Let me now just do a quick test of the browser share, and then I will go, and I will probably I'll refine what I need to refine, and then I'll be back with a proper one with my buttons next week. I'll start Monday. Okay. I want to start on a schedule. Sorry, the lighting is actually like really bad. I do have like a blue lip. That's a birthmark, but that's not bad lighting. That's just my lips and my fucking teeth. As I get older, they're drifting. I hate that shit. They're drifting apart. I don't know, can't afford it. I really want to get them bonded, but I can't. Anyway, so let me just test some stuff. Let me just test this browser share first. Okay, so let's just look at some news, shall we? I haven't looked at the news today. Oh, gee, I'm shocked. I mean, yeah, that's the thing. You got to remember, a lot of this stuff is like survival mode right now. Like, countries are fighting for their survival, literally, with Trump right now. America, like, all lawyers are on deck to defend the law. Like, I don't think people quite understand how fragile this all is. And I've said this before. It's all very fragile, but it's more fragile than it's ever been. Now, Australia's going to be okay, but we can't fucking go declaring we're going to be fine, and we're probably going to profit from it, which is, funny. I'll talk a little bit about that. I actually would like to do more Australian-focused stuff because there is a lot of really cool stuff happening here, and people ignore us, and Americans ignore me anyway, so may as well just focus on, like, Australian stuff because, Australians get annoyed I'm talking about American stuff, and Americans get annoyed that I'm talking about anything, like, but them, so I may as well just Americans don't get annoyed about anything. Americans don't care because I'm not talking about their stupid culture wars. And I'm not like dunking on it, like hating on a group. But it's, Um, and I made a decision to not do the things. Obviously, I did a little bit of monkey see, monkey do initially, but that's been part of my problem is that I do enjoy this, but I don't want to keep doing the things that make make YouTube toxic. I do want to actually level up and make it good. I mean, I don't know. Again, I'm not a TV person. I'm not a journalist. I'm not fucking anything. I'm not media trained, anything like that. You might be surprised. What a shock. But, it does help me with my advocacy skills and my talking skills and all that sort of stuff. And I do enjoy doing it. But I won't do the things that, like, I consider make the internet worse. And that is, like I often go back and forth about whether I should do some sort of reaction videos and response videos. Like, and that can be useful. Like Taylor Lorenz did a recent video where I had some like things to say about it. But at the, it's like, do I want to get into the shit? Because, yeah. Anyway, so I'm thinking about these things. It's not that I don't consider them. Okay. It's just where you put your time, your energy, and all that sort of stuff. If you want to push me in a certain direction financially and you want me to do stuff, I'm here. I've got the skills, believe it or not. I've got the setup, believe it or not. At the moment, I've got to configure some stuff, but I have these things available. I can do stuff. I just need a little bit more support and I should be fine. If I had more time to read, more time to breathe, script, prepare, and outsource a bit of the like production stuff and editing, I'd be fine, right? It's just I can't do it all. And also editing. Like why am I going to spend 15 hours editing a video that 5 people will watch, and it doesn't make any money, and it's just when I can be, the opportunity cost of me making a video is very high. I'm not sitting idle. Like it's not the only thing going on in my life. I'm not sitting around. I've got a backlog of massive amounts of work. I've got reading. I've got, writing stuff. I've got all of these things I want to do, and there's only a limit. There's a limit to what I can actually do for nothing. Like this whole idea that somehow you're supposed to love it enough. That's a right-wing view, everybody. That if you love it enough, you'll work for free. It's like, no, well, yeah, that is true to an extent. But if you can't work for free, like it's you're not going to do it. You can love it and not be able to do it, right? And I would like to be able to develop this more because I have been doing fucking 6 years now, which is crazy. And awesome, but because I went from being like super afraid to not. But anyway, so this seems to be scrolling okay, so that's good. Let's just scroll like it's livable. I don't what. Oh, good. Oh, what's this? Hang on. REA Group. What's the fee? See, this is my area of law. So I'm doing, I'm going to be doing, I think I really do like consumer law. But that's very broad. So tech companies particularly fall under consumer law. So the big battle is going to be with the terms of service. And for us, it is the beautiful misleading and deceptive conduct. That's the main, that's where you get them. Okay. So that's going to be my area. And also, like things like establishing a fiduciary duty to users, which the Online Safety Act has done. But, that's kind of like my area at the moment. But real estate, so they're defending the agents. Of course they fucking are. Oh, so it's over the pricing of their subscription. Oh, okay. It's not the use of the data or anything like that. I'll have to look at it. It's probably, anyway. It seems to be okay. Yeah, gee. Do you know what we should do? You know what we should do? We should just pick a fight. We should just pick a fight. What we should do is just tell Trump to go fuck himself. That's what we should do. Every single one of our students, every single one of our people who are on E3 visas, and their spouses and their families, and every Australian living in the US or who is on either a visa or a permanent resident. Do you know what they should do? We should just tell them to go fuck themselves. That's what I think we should do. That's what I think we should do. Penny Wog, get on that. Okay. What do we got? Yeah. What's in the lunatics area? Here we go. What's in here? Got some funny shit? God, they're so tedious. The shit they focus on is so childish. Yeah, I can't look at it. I'll end up crying over Gaza again. But anyway, so that works. Now let me just play a YouTube video because I want to see if there's feedback, okay? So give me 1 sec. I don't think there's anyone watching now anyway because I think it dropped out. Let's give this a go. What do we got? My interests. I'm just trying to, because I don't want to trip up their fucking...
by a bunch of young atheists. That really went viral on the internet. I kept seeing this all over Twitter. I kept seeing it elsewhere that so many YouTubers did videos on it because it really does. It's like a clean, bright red line about him being washed, right? It being over for the run of the Daily Wire and the Ben Shapiro's and the Jordan Petersons.
Frame rate's a little shit.
And it really is glorious. What's kind of crazy is he hasn't changed that much. He's always been a bullshitter. He's always been a sophist. He's always talked a lot without saying anything. But there was a time where his charisma sort of overrode the substance of what he was saying, and people just liked that there was somebody saying something different, right? And so he became immensely popular, but now he's fallen off so hard. And I do think there is part of it, I believe, is when he was massively addicted to Xanax or Klonopin, he went and got some fringe treatment in Russia where they like put him in a coma for him.
It should be okay. It seems to be okay. Hee. Oh, good. Is this what's happened?
I like tariffs have been slapped down by a court. They say it's illegal. It'll be appealed, but I think that's a great
Crystal Ball's
sign.
Been good
I
for
think
him,
it's likely that the higher courts will say the same thing. It's good to see.
I like it when you see a couple.
So his tariffs are being stymied right now. That's fantastic.
I really like it when you see a couple who are good for each other and they sort of lift each other up, and you see them sort of become better versions of themselves. I'm glad that I've got that kind of marriage too, where together we are better. And I've noticed that he's kind of, they've both uplifted each other, like in from what I can see anyway. And that's really cool. I like that. I like seeing that. I'm a bit of a romantic in that regard. Because there's a lot of couples who are just they don't grow. They get married and then they never change, and then or they just sort of But there are genuine couples out there who complement each other and lift each other up, and I like seeing him sort of man up. I don't like saying that, but you know what I mean. So,
how about this for another piece of good news?
I've seen the growth.
It is official, according to the Associated Press. Elon Musk has left
she's learned to chill.
The Trump regime.
A bit more, I've noticed too.
He's done. It's over. In fact, he took to Twitter and said, as my scheduled time as a special government employee comes to an end, I would like to thank President Trump for the opportunity to reduce wasteful spending. The Doge mission will only strengthen over time as it becomes a way of life throughout the government. So he's making it Twitter official. He's done. He's leaving. It's over. And the backstory here, y'all, is absolutely juicy. What actually went on behind the scenes is juicy. So as you all know, Elon Musk went all in on the Wisconsin Supreme Court race. He was basically campaigning for the Republicans, spent a lot of money trying to get the Republican elected. Well, that dude got his cheeks clapped, bro.
All right.
He lost by double digit skis, like just blown
Let's see
out.
How we go.
And what happened was the other Republicans realized in that moment, like, wait a second, Elon Musk is wildly unpopular. Nobody likes him. He's electoral poison. He's totally toxic. And then on top of that, the Trump cabinet members don't like him either because he steps on toes all the time. He's really interpersonally awkward.
I'll watch this again later.
Really
you don't want to watch it, do you?
A lot of the right. Cabinet heads.
That's okay.
And so,
see, I also don't want to trip up their content ID because that's one thing in the back end of YouTube. They will know that if you've like got a copyright match of their video, and I really don't want like you got to be strategic about that. That's why you don't want to pick those fights too much either. I don't. If I do use that's that way of getting noticed, I want it to actually count and not be this dog shit fucking amateur hour stream that I've been doing today. This guy is my favorite YouTuber.
As you know, I think society should be in every.
He's so funny. His soundboard has lore. So
TikTok.
I love it when people start watching video of his.
Hey guys, hi.
I love it when people start watching and then they go, "What the fuck is this?" And then all of a sudden you start like memeing all of the like.
Hey guys, sorry, hi.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Having a bit of
Very
the jolly,
silly.
always.
I like silliness. We need
Having
a bit of
the
silliness.
jolly. Okay.
Okay, sorry guys. Sorry about that. Ooh, oh my god. Ooh, this is an interesting video right here. This is an interesting video right here. Haven't looked at a video of this guy in a long time. Let me check the views real quick. Hold on, this is how I look at views.
Yes,
you know,
the color
the Bible
is like
says
that.
you're not supposed to covet crap or whatever. I'm coveting these views right here. 600,000 views? You got 600,000 of those views? This is this guy, Charlie Kirk. We've made fun of him before. He's like a stupid guy. He's a public stupid guy. And he's causing a bit of anarchy in the UK.
I'm interested to know if I've got feedback. Because I want to be able to just play the video without having headphones.
Whatever the hell he was talking about.
And the noise
gate
take care of it. Hopefully it doesn't provide too much feedback.
That one out.
Your campus debates.
Right, so let me tell you how this works. I do a campus event, like a Texas A&M University.
Praise God.
I rent it out. I'm there for 3 hours. He shows up demanding to come up to the mic immediately, cutting in line of other students. It's not Joe Biden's America anymore where you can just cut in line and get whatever you want.
Let me see if I can.
So therefore...
Okay, that is true. That is true. We have a lot of criticisms of that guy. What the hell was the guy's name? Joe the president. We got a lot of criticisms of that guy, but that's true. People were cutting in line for YouTube debates nonstop. They were doing that, and frankly, they were doing this. Okay, so yeah, this video got recommended
I should
to me.
try and
This
find
is
that.
Chuck Kirk. Charles James Kirk III. He's on his Nevermind the...
Praise God.
It's the...
Toilets.
Tour. But yeah, I don't know what the hell's going on. This guy likes to hang around schools and film...
This one. Is this the one? No. No. Where is it? Very, very cool stream we've got going here. Hang on, where are we? It's fucking stupid. Where is he? No, can't find it. Howard, I'm trying to Google it. I'm trying to search like an idiot would, and I can't think what it would be called. Ah, here we go. No. Ah, bloody hell. I've got it in the Nah. Whatever. Can't find it. That's annoying. Very funny, though. That's all right. I've got it in Telegram, but hang on, can I? Yeah. No, man. I could go on TikTok and see. Hang on. Can you open a fucking video in the browser so that it doesn't? Bloody hell. How hard is it to find this stupid thing? Yeah. It doesn't want to play. I can't find it. Oh, well. I was just checking you can't see my fucking video history, my media history with my husband. There's all sorts of weird shit in here. No. Yeah, I can't find it. I don't know how long ago it was. Ah, here we go. Can you open things in the browser, I wonder? Hang on. I'm just testing this. There's a reason for this. It's not meant to be. Open with, can I open it with Brave? Yep.
He loves it.
There you go.
What happened?
Oh, Walter, come here.
What happened? That's real.
There you go. That was worth it. All right. Anyway, I think we're good. It's looking good. Now I know what I need to fix. So it's all good. I will come back and talk about other things another time. I think I've got all that I need to be able to check things. I need to figure out why OBS is crashing so hard. And I'm going to go get a coffee and finish the essay that I'm working on for Substack. But hello, Substack, if you're watching this. I will talk to you very soon, and I'll be on more of a schedule very soon. Take care. I love you. There's no ending credits. If you want to sign up on Substack, you can. It's free. I don't expect money. I know nobody can afford shit at the moment. But if you can, then do that. Founding members are going to get, I'm still working on it, but founding members will get, I'm on the fence about this because I don't know whether I want this feedback early on, but I am going to sort of work on the book again, finishing the book, and I'll just publish each chapter on there instead, or chapter, whatever. And it sort of gives me some accountability and making it available for founding members only. But I don't know how I feel about that, because people, if you invite feedback to certain things, you know, the public, etc. But yeah. So anyway, I will be back on Monday with a proper thing. I will fix these frame rate issues and various other things. I don't know why that is. I think, I've just got to figure it out. The answer is a new fucking computer, but I don't have one. So I shall go. Take care. Love you.